Hello and welcome. The Bank of Ghana is warning the public to be wary of a money doubling scheme operating in Ghana under the pseudo name World Remit. Now, according to the Bank of Ghana, the scheme is fraudulent and does not reward investors as promised. We have more in this report.
According to the central bank, this fraudulent scheme is distinct from the globally renowned fintech World Remit, which is in the business of international fund transfers. This scheme encourages customers to select preferred packages, following which a code is generated by the fraudsters, with which they obtain the WhatsApp account of their victims for spurious purposes. The Bank of Ghana cautions against patronage of this and other similar unsanctioned schemes, adding it has not licensed any entity or individual engaged in money doubling. It advised the public to verify the licensing status of persons or entities prior to depositing funds with them, as well as place deposits only with institutions licensed by the Bank of Ghana. It also cautioned the public not to participate in this illegal and fraudulent activity to avoid loss of funds, but then added that any individual or entity that participates in such or similar schemes does so at their own peril.
And that was a business desk report on the Bank of Ghana cautioning the public against World Remit money doubling scheme. We shall follow this up, but let's move on to other stories related to the central bank, because the governor, Dr. Ernest Addison, says his outfit will soon relaunch a risk-based approach in conducting supervision on banks. According to him, recent research by the central bank reveals that some banks do not have the proper structure and receive and address complaints of customers, whilst others do not have a transparent credit delivery process, resulting in high cost of borrowing, among others. He therefore believes that the risk-based approach, when implemented, will ensure that banks are more efficient and sounder. He was speaking at the launch of the Ghana Bankers' Voice magazine by the Ghana Association of Bankers.
Research shows that some banks have poor customer relations because their activities appear centered on one area of specialization. The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, indicated that a risk-based approach will be launched soon to ensure efficient supervisions at banks.
To further ensure that consumer protection is adequately worked on, the Bank of Ghana is in the process of implementing a risk-based approach to conduct supervision. This means that the bank will move from the thematic silo-based conduct supervision to a more efficient risk-based conduct supervision. And all banks will be expected to put in place measures to mitigate such conduct risks.
Speaking at the launch, Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Bankers says a partnership with the National Development Bank will enable banks to give out long-term funding. This, he says, will help banks properly support businesses.
Cost of long-term funding in the country is very high because people are looking at what is the benchmark around. We're working closely with our partners to ensure that we have access to the right funding mechanism to be able to extend long-term credit. We also see that partnering strongly with the proposed development bank can also be a very good avenue to having access to long-term funding to enable us intervene properly in the market.
Meanwhile, senior partner at KPMG, Anthony Sapon, says the pandemic led to the revolution of the banking industry. He believes that this has contributed immensely to the recovery of the economy.
If you look at the role of the banks, it was important that during this pandemic, one, they made sure that funds are available for the production sector to restart so that things can come into where we need them. And then again, to make arrangements so that people can have access to credit so they can get what they want. The second important role that they did was the pandemic put all of us on hold, and therefore quickly banks needed to have an arrangement where you can be at home but you can still access your banking services, which is the virtual and digitization that we're talking about. And that way you can see in Ghana our banks were more or less prepared for that.
Now, the board chairman of the ARB Apex Bank, Dr. Tony Orbin, has made a strong case for government to allow rural banks to keep statutory funds, which has become the sole responsibility of commercial banks over the years. According to him, just like the commercial banks, rural banks are well positioned to also handle the district assembly and the MP's common funds. Dr. Orbin was speaking at the 20th anniversary of the annual National Managers Conference of the Rural Banks at Kwewu in Kutia in the Eastern Region.
The conference brought together all chief executive officers and general managers of rural and community banks to deliberate on how successfully they can run their businesses in the face of COVID-19. It was under the theme, Rural Banking Beyond the Financial Sector Reforms and the COVID-19 Pandemic. Dr. Orbin noted it was time for government to amend laws to include rural banks in administering statutory funds since they deal directly with their communities as against the high street banks. He stated that community and rural banks were competent and well-trained enough to administer those funds efficiently for the benefit of rural folks.
Those of us in the rural areas, when they need something, they come to the rural bank. They are unable to go to commercial banks because the commercial bank must go to the headquarters in Accra. And in Accra, they don't remember one tram. They don't know the village of one tram or something. So please, let us look at that you're now very close, or you are, inching towards the high street banks. So you'll be expected to behave and to perform at the quality level of those banks.
The paramount chief of Kwewu traditional area, Dasibre Ekuamwa Ejapon, who chaired the occasion, reiterated calls for a downward review of corporate income tax for rural banks from the current 25% to 15%. Corporate income tax went up from 8 to 25% in 2016. Dasibre Ekuamwa Ejapon says a reduction will boost the bank's investment rates and liquidity formation.
The RCBs invest quite substantially in the local economy of the country. I know they have made several pleas and representations to the Bank of Ghana and the government to consider reducing their corporate income tax from 25% to 15%. I wish to add my voice and the endorsement of Nanano to this humble plea by the RCBs for the government through the governor, Dr. Addison, and the Ministry of Finance to consider reviewing the corporate income tax downwards.
You're still watching The Marketplace. The month of September recorded the highest inflation rate of 10.6% since the economy started picking up from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, the increase in housing, water and electricity costs were the major contributors to the hike in inflation. Professor Samuel Kobina Eneng is a government statistician and has been explaining to journalists in Accra the reasons behind this statistic.
Year-on-year inflation for the month of September 2021 stood at 10.6. This literally means that general price levels between September 2020 and September 2021 have gone up by 10.6%. So over a one-year period, September 2020 and September 2021, average prices of goods and services have gone up by 10.6%. On a month-on-month basis, comparing August 2021 to September 2021, general price levels have gone up by 0.6%. How do these figures compare with inflation for the previous months? The 10.6 that we've recorded for the month of September 2021 is the highest that have been recorded for the post-COVID-19 period, i.e. since August 2020. This is the first time that we are recording an inflation figure as high as 10.6. The highest that we recorded were during the pre-COVID period, i.e. July, June, and May 2021, which hovered around 10.3, 11.3, 11.2, and 11.4. So since August 2020, this is the highest inflation that we've recorded in the 14-month period. From a disaggregation point of view, i.e. food inflation and non-food inflation, and also from a locally produced items and imported items, food inflation stood at 11.5 for the month of September 2021. This indicates a 0.6% increase in the food inflation that was recorded for the month of August 2021. August 2021 food inflation stood at 10.9%, with September 2021 food inflation 11.5%.
Well, let's bring in the Chief Executive of the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana, Anthony Morris, and he joins us via Zoom with some analysis. Anthony, we're so grateful that you could join us. Food inflation inching up by 11.6%. What are you making from this statistic, especially when we're expecting this to go down amid interventions by the Agri Minister?
Thank you very much, and I'm grateful for this opportunity.
I'm afraid we haven't. All right, go on.
And I think that looking at the consumer price index from year on year to where we are now, our hope is that this may not go up too much, but from the figures available to us, we may close this year on a much more higher inflation, in that fuel prices has been a major indicator for increase in food prices. Currently, we are buying maize at a very high rate in terms of the price. 50 kg of maize at the initial point of the year we're selling at 58 Ghana cedis. Now we're buying at 150 Ghana cedis for the same 50 kg. And we do know that kenke prices that used to be sold at 1 cedi 50 pesos per a ball of kenke is now being sold at 2 cedis. So that is more than the 11% increase or something. We are expecting that next year will be much terrible, and that we are picking signals and intelligence globally as to the rising cost of agrochemicals and other agro inputs. We do know that prices of fertilizer this year have gone up almost by 80 cedis. Cost of labor have also gone up. Fuel, of course, has gone up. So, and also the cost of transporting, especially the imports that we do, logistics with regards to the shipments, have also gone up by almost 90% due to the COVID challenges. So we expect that consumers should tie their belt. My advice to consumers is to probably set in to do their own backyard garden, because we do know that the cost of vegetables per household is about 200 to 400 cedis a month. So, and this has the likelihood to increase in the coming months. So we need to start taking strategic home economic sense and to make sure that we deliver our homes and be able to provide the right nutrition for our food.
Great, but from your submission, Anthony, I deduce three major things. The fact that, yes, our production is not being threatened at the moment, but we're having challenges with the supply chain. You rightly stated the fact of transportation costs. You said the fact of, port entry fees as well, and even that of fertilizer. But let's start on the scale of fertilizer, the cost of fertilizer as well as the cost of maize. The Agri Minister has rightly stated the fact that we're nearing the bumper, the harvest season, which is going to be much more of a bumper in nature. Can this offset the risk that you were making reference to in your submission post-COVID-19 in the year 2022?
Thank you very much. Let me say that Ghanaians should not expect any bumper harvest. Let me state clearly that we are all from traditional zones in this country, and we celebrate festivals. And the reason why festivals are celebrated is to celebrate the gods for giving us bumper harvest. All major festivals across the country have been celebrated. So we are not expecting any major harvest at this point in time. We are going into the dry season, which is the minor season, because we have the bimodal and the unimodal farming system. And the northern region or the northern part of Ghana have the unimodal system, so they farm once in a year. And also those in the south farms 2 times in a year. Now, you do not expect to make bumper harvest in your minor season. You make that in your major season. And besides, we have completed harvesting. Let me also add that the climate change has been a major issue towards food productivity in Ghana. The major season was not very conducive for productivity reasons. There was a long drought, and when the rain came in, the rain was too much, so most of the major grains and cereal farms were submerged in water for a long period. So we are not expecting any major bumper harvest. Let me state that clearly, so that consumers across board will begin to take measures and find strategic ways to conserve food, especially food waste is picking up. Food losses
so that's your word against that of the Agri Minister. But let's also deal with the supply chain matters, the cost of fuel, and also the cost of port charges and all. How is this going to be much more of a challenge, especially when we've also seen government have some interventions regarding the cost of petrol prices in the coming weeks?
Well, this is the right time to start looking at how we can subsidize fuel for agriculture productivity in Ghana. We do that for aquaculture, but we don't do that for the crop farming. This is the time we need to start looking at how we can make intervention and bring some policies that will have a major impact on productivity. Because currently it costs almost about 200 cedis to do an acre or to plow or prepare an acre of a farmland. And it used to be 120, 150. That should tell you that there is an increase of more than 30%. So we need to start looking at it if we are to increase and to provide the necessary food security to this country. We need to subsidize agriculture fuel subsidies or bring on board some what I refer to as the agriculture social intervention, so that farmers will be able to produce their produce on time, because sometimes we do not even have the fuel to even fuel the limited available tractors that we have on our farms.
All right.
So these are all the issues we need to be looking at.
Anthony, we're grateful for your submission there. He is with the Agribusiness Chamber of Ghana, helping us understand the reasons behind statistics on the faring of agriculture in Ghana. But we're going for a short commercial break, but still to come in the bulletin, former Aviation Minister Joseph Kofi Adda passes on. We'll be back with some of his last interviews he had with the marketplace regarding the prospects of Ghana's aviation sector. Do stay with us. Hello and welcome back. Aside from the birthday cakes, the gifts and fun moments, the latest addition in commemoration of birthdays is a professional photo shoot. But what goes into professional photo shoot, and is it a worthwhile addition? In his quest to find answers to why people would make it an annual tradition to take birthday photos, Love FM's Emmanuel Bright Kweku visited a professional photography studio and has come through with this report.
Birthdays happen but once every year. With this assertion, there is certainly no reason not to celebrate this day. While some people share in the view that it adds no value to their lives, others believe it marks their very existence in life and therefore ought to be celebrated.
Let me see your smile, smile. Thank you.
Bright Techi is a professional photographer and owner of MT Bright Graphics. His journey of capturing people's joyous moments with his exceptional photography skills started in 2014. He tells me this sector of his business is a booming market due to the recent craze for professional birthday photoshoots.
Because of social media, the birthday photo shoot became like popular. So I started 2018 photo shoots on birthdays. I have packages, but averagely I take 100 cedis for 5 pictures. In a week I get more than 10 clients in a week. And also in a month I get more than 30 people.
As every other professional photographer, Bright first prepares his studio with colorful settings to complement the exquisite photos he wishes to take.
Photography is all about art, so I have my background here, and I also have a couple of seats. I have circular one, I have standing one, and I also have my lighting system. I have my softbox, my reflectors, and speed light. So I use all these things to get quality pictures.
Gifty Opokuwari, whose birthday is in a week's time, has come here to get herself some fanciful photos to celebrate her big day. She tells me she will be sharing these photos with her family and friends on her birthday.
When you see birthdays are once in a while issues, so at least you have to take pictures, you share with your families and friends for fun, sometimes to put it in your album.
Before Gifty strikes poses for her photos, she's first accessorized and dressed up by a makeup artist. Another prep session of photography which hinders people from taking professional birthday shoots is the makeup. They argue it's expensive and a headache to sit for hours to get a complete makeover. To ascertain their session, I made some enquiries from the makeup artist here at the photo studio. I found out from her how much she makes for a birthday makeover. Abigail Sapon explains the business is lucrative and gets a lot of customers for a birthday makeover.
For a birthday photo shoot and events, we do charge like 300 cedis. But then if you want the accessories and you want us to dress you like this one, you'll pay like, let's say 500 cedis for a birthday shoot.
Like, look to your jewelries, look at it, yeah. Thank you, I like it. Beautiful.
So you've had it, the cost, the makeup, and a small stress. Are you willing to commemorate your birthday with a professional photo shoot or ordinary photos? Reporting for Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Well, and from that interesting feature, we delve into a much, sadder story. The former Minister for Aviation, Joseph Kofi Adda, has died. According to reports, Mr. Adda had taken ill shortly after he returned to Accra from a trip to Navrongo. Sources say the former Navrongo Central Member of Parliament was rushed to the hospital for medical attention. The 65-year-old later died in the early hours of Thursday, October 14. Kofi Adda first became a legislator in 2003 after winning the Navrongo parliamentary seat in a by-election. Of course, he's also had so much of a time as the immediate past aviation minister, considering all the gains he made, especially during the COVID-19 era of the lockdown season. Take a listen to a playback of a one-on-one interview that he granted Joy Business.
And I think the timing that you referred to earlier, it's the right timing. Yes, the initiative, the expression of interest may have come much earlier. The MOU may have been signed last year. But where we are now with COVID, bring the whole aviation sector down, if we can position ourselves very well, strategically develop the infrastructure and prepare ourselves to be able to enhance capacity in service delivery, it may well be so strategically positioned that the vision of the president for us to become a aviation hub, for all you know, as we bound back into operation, we'll be the leader in the West African region.
As a minister, what have you to show, especially when your government is coming back to account to Ghanaians, the reason why you need 4 more years? What have you to show as the minister for the aviation sector?
The last audit that was done, the aviation safety and security, we scored 64%. Okay, when we got assessed last year, April, we ranked 89.89%, rounded off to 90%. From 64%, if you are taking your A-levels, or senior high school certificate exam, you go 64%. And next time you take an exam, you get 90%. What would you say? We've done very well. We've done remarkably well. So we ranked the highest in Africa during my tenure because of amendments of certain critical legislation and the introduction of certain outfits of the sector. Introduction of certain mechanisms in the sector that have enhanced revenue, that have enhanced passenger throughput, that have enhanced safety and security.
Honorable Minister, many thanks for having us. We're so grateful for your time.
Well, and that was an interview there that he granted us somewhere 2019, the heat of COVID-19. And he did listen to his prospect for the aviation sector. We wish him well and, of course, rest in peace. And we share our condolences to his family and friends. That's how we end this edition of The Marketplace. I'm Charles Aite. Many thanks for watching.